Cosatu will be embarking on a nationwide strike today. The Trade Union Federation says it's protesting against rising levels of unemployment, wage cuts, poverty and inequality. Cosatu's list of demands from government include the raising of the SRD Grant to the food poverty line and intervention in the liquidation of the post office. So these demands are wide-ranging. Let's discuss this further with Cosatu's first Deputy President, Mike Shingange. Mike, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on to the program. The demands are incredibly wide-ranging, but at the heart of it is Cosatu's contention that South Africa can't go on this economic sort of road that it's been traveling for the past while.
That's correct. Good morning to your viewers. That's correct. That's the heart of our demands because it is a combination of things that compound to make the life of the working class in South Africa to be unbearable. From the wage cost, as you say, but also from the fact that many of the industries are closing down due to a number of issues, which include the crisis of the electricity, wherein the workers continue to lose jobs, but also the attack on those who are likely to be working and perhaps getting a few or so salary, but they get attacked in terms of their collective bargaining rights, as we have seen in the past few years. These are some of the demands that Cosatu feels that we cannot but sit back rather than try to highlight and make some demands to the government and the private sector for that matter, because it's a combination of both business and private and government, but also the attack on collective bargaining comes across the sectors, including the sectors that are retrenching workers, are actually largely those one of private sector.
How do you gauge the success of a shutdown of this nature, Mike, given that it is essentially a call to action for workers, and if workers do join, it's likely to be a no work, no pay scenario for them? On the one hand. On the other hand, given the broad list of demands that you have, how much of a practical response do you expect to get on a shutdown like today?
Firstly, the success of it in terms of how we're going to gauge is, of course, the response of workers. You remember that this action is mainly called because of the structures of the federation, which have instructed that the preparations must be made. Applications should be made in the NADEC for this action to take place. So when the workers coming from various sectors and affiliates join this action, it's one part of the success, because indeed they're supporting their demands. But of course, and we know that it's law in this country, this issue of no work, no pay is no longer a crew to our members. But of course, we will hope that the proposals we are making as in our demand, like the SRD, like the increasing of the presidential stimulus package, including the one of employment program, are those of the things that we think are supposed to show that we have been listened to by both government but also the business. And we hope that the platforms that are created for engagements like the NADEC and also other bilateral will take place so that we can take forward some of the proposals that we are making.
Yeah. In Cosatu's statement, and perhaps just for the sake of our viewers and for clarity, you and I have been talking about the demand on Cosatu's list, which includes raising the SRD grant, and we're, of course, talking about the social relief of distress grant there. But part of Cosatu's statement for today's action says the working class is bleeding from government's sluggish response to policy failures that are leading to cuts in real wages and a rise in unemployment. More than half of the population struggling to make ends meet. Do you believe, Mike, that our government in 2023 are out of touch with the kind of struggles people have every single day?
Well, we think they've been out of touch for the longest time now. I mean, this thing did not just wake up in 2023 and combine themselves to be such a crisis that we are facing. It has been policy failures for the longest time. You will remember that long before the disastrous COVID-19 that befell the world in 2020, the economy of South Africa was already at that time a technical recession. In fact, it was at a junk status. And any recovery plans must take the country to at least not before COVID, but it's before COVID. In other words, at a time when the economy was not doing well, a turning point should have been at that time, because COVID just came and exposed how unready we were on a number of areas. So they have been out of touch for a long time, not just in 2023.
Very interestingly as well, Mike, and this has been the case when Cosatu has embarked on shutdowns of this nature in the past as well, is that you've not only outlined the issues that you want highlighted on a shutdown like today, but Cosatu has also presented a list of possible solutions.
That's correct. We do so now in our campaigns on the street, but we also do so in Parliament, where through our parliamentary coordinators, we present our perspective when the bills have been passed. We also do so at the level of the net level, where we meet together with business and together with government. Actually, more often than not, our proposals do get accepted as that which they can take the country forward. Unfortunately, they do not get implemented, many of them, and that's why we find ourselves where we are.
For people who want to join the shutdown today, Mike, how do they go about doing that?
Those who are belonging to trade unions, they should check with the coordinators and organizers of their affiliates in terms of the bus routes and the assembly points, because we're having matches across all 9 provinces, but also other provinces are having more than 1 match. So it will be important for them to contact their organizers or the nearest trade union organizers there, particularly for the transportation, the time of assembly, and the place of assembly.
Mike Shingange is Cosatu's first Deputy President. Thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning.